I browsed the sewing aisles of Walmart and bought every weird, sus, and curiosity-inducing product they had. Some things were terrible. Some things were groundbreaking. Let's try them out. Here's what I brought home. I'm gonna start with these bobbin pins. Basically, this is an organizer product. The idea is that you can store a matching bobbin by inserting this pin into the spool. The main thing I'm interested in testing with this product is how versatile it is for the different spool styles. Our go-to is the larger cone here at the shop, but sometimes we have the Gutermann in a small spool. We don't have many of the Coates and Clark here, only when we need a certain color in a pinch and we have to buy it locally. So I'm most excited to see which spool type this works best for. First you squeeze it, and then you push the bobbin up in there. That worked. And of course, ideally this would be threaded with matching thread to the spool, right? Okay, and then we're gonna put this in there. And yeah, it holds them together. Now, how would you store it? Would it just be kind of like loose in a drawer? I don't know that you could store it long-term hanging like this because it's just barely hanging on. Let's see if maybe it was designed with this shape spool in mind. Oh, it's so much more snug. It looks like this is what they meant for the customer to be using, is more like this kind of spool. I know it's hard for this to be expressed in video, but this just feels so much more secure than this other guy. But if you look at the opening here, it makes sense why it would be more snug for the Coates and Clark than for the Gutermann. So the big question is always like, would I buy these? You know, they look a little funny. That's why I grabbed them. They seem a little unnecessary. You know, is it just like a gimmick just to get you to buy one more silly thing, or is it gonna work? I think I do have a machine that we sometimes use. It's kind of like an all-purpose. It's a vintage machine, but it has like the different stitches and all that on it. It's a multifunction machine, and it does still work with the smaller spools and the bobbins. And usually when we work on that machine, it is for different kind of projects. So we would be more likely to have more colors. But I actually, like, I don't feel any pains of like, oh no, I bought this for this video and like I'm never gonna use this and what a waste. I don't feel that. I feel like I really will use these to organize the thread colors for that multifunction machine. So yeah, and none of them are breaking. They're all working. I would give it a 9 out of 10. The reason why I'm giving it a 9 instead of 10 is I do think that they leaned heavily into the spool design, and Gutermann is like my go-to. I have the big box of all the different colors of Gutermann and everything. So that's kind of sad that it's so roly-poly when you put it in this kind of spool. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Great job, Singer. So you can picture how, just like I have this hanging, you could have a series of nails or pegs. This is how I keep all of my beads organized that come in the little bead vials. I just literally just hammered some little penny nails in there. I can see how this would be a useful organizing tool for somebody. I would spray paint them before I use them though. This color scheme, it's on brand for Singer obviously, but I feel like it's just not very aesthetic or neutral for most people's sewing rooms. So like I would just take these out back and lay them out and spray them all like, you know, bronze or something. All right, so this next one I was so excited to see in the store because I have bought this before and I love it. This is kind of like a sticker. The one drawback that I found that I had a problem with when I used it previously is it repeats every 12 inches. I do wish that they made this where it repeated like maybe every 36 inches. That would be so cool if it was like yard based. But let me show you how this works. I just love that you can put it so many different places. It has 33 stick-on rulers per roll, so you get to use this all over the place. The most obvious use would be for sewing tables. Now, a lot of them do come with kind of like a inlaid or a decal ruler for you, and that is super handy. But as you know, a lot of them do not come with that. Now, one thing that I can say super positive about this, it's tried and true for me. I have put this on varnished surfaces in the past, and I never had any issues with it peeling off and damaging the varnish. Now, you can also tell full disclosure here that this table in particular is a little worse for wear. I got it from somebody, and it had just been stored in their garage for eons, and so this is obviously the repercussions of that. But I mean, I kind of like it. It's in a workroom. I don't have to worry about taking care of the table. So let me show you how I would use this. First of all, make sure your hands are free of lotion, because if you get lotion on this, it's not going to stick long term. It's just going to kind of roll up. So you pull it off of here, and when you get to 12, you'll see it's actually perforated, which is super handy. So from there, it's just simply peel and stick. So you're going to decide, you know, do you want it along here or a little closer to you? Put it down, start from the middle, move outwards, and there you have it, a nice little handy dandy ruler. I love this. So I actually only have two downsides to this that I want to address. One is I do wish that they offered it in the 36 inch, because then we could use it for like cutting tables and whatnot. I do still usually put one of these on a cutting table sometimes, but just 36 inches would be so much more helpful. I know I hear the rest of the world right now being like, we need it metric. I'm sorry. We're Americans. We measure with bananas and such. So the other drawback that I would say is just in my past use of this, the ink is not like permanent and sealed within there. So if I was to come along here to clean the table, a lot of times this will smear a little bit, the ink will. That's kind of sad, because I feel like that would have been an easy fix. Just the type of ink or a type of clear coat or something on there would have been nice. So I would love to see a premium version of this, 36 inches with the ink sealed in. That would be lovely. Maybe even make it more like a vinyl or a thicker vinyl than what it is. There you have it. I'll give this still a 9 out of 10, even though I see two drawbacks. It's just so helpful. As far as my pattern review, I just wanted to come at this from two different angles. One is kind of looking at the selection that they have, and I just thought they had a really impressive selection as far as the variety is concerned. So these are kind of like vintage sleeves. I picked this one, and I thought, like, how cool to give us this variety of choices within one pattern, and also within the drawers that they had there to choose your patterns from. You had kind of these vintage offerings, and then you also had modern patterns to choose from, and I thought that was very cool. So I just picked this up as a representation. I'm actually only going to be cutting out and reviewing one pattern just to see how well it works. This is the one I chose, and yeah, so let's give that one a whirl.
Nested within the pattern review is a review of their fabrics. I selected from their pre-cut discount fabric because who doesn't love instant gratification? I mean, who doesn't want to have to wait 20 minutes for a worker to come cut it for you? Here's the wide variety of fabrics that I wanted to show you. And this is sadly where things begin to go off the rails for me. If you know this channel, I usually upload a couple times a month. It's been well over a month at the time of this editing and voiceover because I had to push pause on my life to help my little nephew out. He was only a couple weeks old, and I had to help take care of him at the hospital. 21 days in total. I took the night shift every other night to give his mama some much needed sleep. RSV was going through our community, and I was the only one allowed in their quarantine pod. The only advancements I could make on this video was the cutting of the pattern on the floor of the hospital in the little baby's room as he slept. I did make sure to bring along these laser scissors for those of you who asked about it with my last video where I bought all the weird Amazon sewing products. You guys were kind of disappointed that you didn't get to watch them cut. So here's how they cut, and you can see just how much that laser moves while you cut. So I'm not a huge fan, sorry, but they cut the paper fine. And here I'm back at the shop. I will give you an update soon. And I am sewing this jumper pattern together, and I'm having a really good time with it. It's very easy to alter, and I'll give you more details about that in a bit too. I'll put it on, let you see how things worked out. But I ran out of bobbin thread, and that leads me to the next weird sewing product that I needed to review.
A bobbin winder. I actually have one of these. I have a love-hate relationship with it. And I have been saying for years that I'm going to fix this to be exactly what I want it to be. And now's my big chance. So I'm gonna show you what I love about it, what I feel like is kind of the Achilles heel in the design, and then how I'm going to fix it. And I am so excited. The package talks about how time-saving it is, and then it's universal. I totally agree with those. Easy one-touch winding, auto shut-off, all of that is true. Easily wind your bobbins with no sewing machine required. Yes, absolutely true. And works with class 15 and 15J bobbins. So this takes the bobbins, it's kind of cool, takes the bobbins from my home sewing machines, my vintage singers, and then I can also get my girls to wind my Juki bobbins on here. So this is really cool. It is very universal. Why do I not wind my bobbins on the bobbin winder that's built in with my Juki, you may ask? Because I forget that it's winding over there, and it doesn't always, the release doesn't pop free, and so that I end up wasting like half a spool of thread on the shaft of the bobbin winder, and it's just a nightmare. So I just don't do that anymore. All right, so here it is. It's kind of cute. It looks like you're like gonna go picnicking or something. So cute. All right, and it can be battery powered or cord powered, which I think is really cool. They actually include the cord. How nice of them, as opposed to that sewing machine. You know what? I bet you this would have worked with that sewing machine. All right, so you've got this, a nice long cord. I love that. And basically what you do, you plug it in back here. You open this. You lift this because you can use a full-size spool of thread. So that's cool. Very, very nice of them. Okay, so you have that. You lift this up. Basically, you put the thread here, put it through here. This is your tensioner. Bring it over here to the bobbin. And oh, this is nice. It's got the little cap so your thing isn't like flipping around and all that. And then you've got where you can store other bobbins. And this is your on-off switch. This is where the auto off happens, because you put your bobbin in here and you push this over, and when it gets full and it slides this way, it auto shuts off. So you can start it, in theory, you can start it and you can walk away and do something else, and when you come back, it's wound and stopped. In theory, okay? The problem that I have with this is it's like unstable, like me. So, and it also, the fact that, like I talked about earlier, We use these full-size cones, and so obviously like that's not going to work. So we do like little hacksmith things. Like, let me show you how we would typically handle this. We just go like this.
Put it through here. Wind it this way.
I do also find that our bobbins get a little spinny on this. Like, this tension pin is a little high. So when you put it on here, like, we don't typically pop it all the way down because it gets too spinny. We partially pop it, and that gives it enough tension so it doesn't like freely spin once it gets a little bit of drag placed on it. All right, so obviously this is not gonna work because this can't spin while you're doing it. The whole thing just like goes cattywampus. You've got this annoying handle issue, the cord, whatever, and it's very lightweight, okay? It's way too lightweight for what you're having to do with it, okay? Let me get this stuff off of here. All right, so this is how we have been winding our bobbins. I kid you not. Okay, so I guess I have to do this to get it to go. The tension isn't right. Oh dear, look at this. Okay, if you ever wind a bobbin and it looks like this, you've got to fix it, okay? It's gonna mess up your sewing. Let me show you. We're definitely gonna have to adjust our tension before we can use this, because the bobbin shouldn't be full yet, right? It's just very, very loose and fluffy. So let's fix that. Okay, so you're kind of starting to see the persnickety nature of this, right? Too lightweight. You got to do weird stuff like this. The tension is like, is that right? I don't know. Let me check that. Okay, it's winding under here because this is up too high. This is a nightmare. Okay, this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. Okay, do you see everything that I hate about this machine? And we're getting ready to fix all the things I hate about it. You ready? This is horrible and unusable. All right, take two. So we've gone over the issues. This cannot be popped all the way down or it spins too freely and weird things happen. And just barely, you're like, you're at that tipping point, okay? Let's try the lock. Here we go. See what I'm talking about? It's so loose. There we go. So basically what I'm showing you is I got the tensioner adjusted. It's just right now. And I'm using my finger to get this going up and down without getting underneath the bobbin.
Don't be scared. I will show you every single step, and I have two ways of fixing this. One's a little more advanced, one's a little more simple. Here we go.
All right. We got this. And see how it has the battery compartment, but we're not using batteries here. I want to be able to use power. And these need to become unscrewed. We need to take this thing apart. All right, did you know that you can use screwdrivers like this? Like you can just put it in the drill. Did you know that? Do that? So if ever you have like a favorite screwdriver for your sewing machine stuff, but not a bit that works like it, you can literally put it in your drill. It's so cool. It's a great hack. All right, so let's get this thing unscrewed. Yay. All right, so now we can lift this out. What we have going on here, this is not difficult, don't get scared, okay? The wires that are going to the battery compartment that we don't need, we can clip them if you want to, because we want to get rid of this whole case. This is the problem to me. This Interface is fine. I just feel like we need a substantial thread stand, we need more weight, and we need to get rid of this. But we need this plug for our power plug, okay? So, this plug has the red and blue going this way. We can trim these two guys. Notice this is unplugged. All right, so we're gonna snip and snip only the two that are coming out of the battery section, okay? So now she's free. This, we can chuck it, all right? Legal disclaimer, children do not try this at home. Electrocution can occur, whatever, okay. I didn't get electrocuted because, right? So you can test it at this point if you're afraid. Like, what if I cut the wrong one? Well, I mean, if you cut the wrong one, you gotta go back to Walmart is all I can say. All right, but look, put that in there and test it. Woo! It still works, okay? There we go. Let's unplug that. This switch, we can reroute it outside of the box. All right, so this little motor is a little too high. Look at the shape of it. We can't just like set this on here, right? Yeah. So I want all the guts down in here. This interface on top can be a little bit smaller so that it can sit on the lip. It can be a little bit smaller in most places. There's a few places that it can't be. When things get very close to the edge, like this or this, that's literally for stability. It's not doing much, is it? Those kind of things we need to steer clear of. Children, don't try this at home. Which parts can be near the edge. This has to be very near the edge, and so does this. Okay. We're gonna come inside, kind of like this, and then we gotta get kind of near the edge here, kind of near the edge here, and then now we can come way back inside again. That's nice. That'll give us some more stability. Lovely. All right, so this is going to take a little bit of finessing. Oh, just kidding. Okay, so this is going to fit perfectly on your first try. Just kidding. That was shear luck, okay? Sheer luck. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue this down, and this extra height is what allowed this tall guy right here to sit inside of there. Okay, so we're gonna glue this down, but we also have to get this switch coming out the side of the box, okay? That's gonna be kind of important because we killed the battery. All right, so you can see how this is made. It's got the two screw holes on the side to anchor it, and then we're also just gonna hot glue it as well. But that's the plug or the outlet, whichever. The receiver of the power. That's what that is. So this is gonna come out the side just because I find that it reaches the best that way. All right, so we got this. Let's see. Yay, it fits. All right, we need to get some type of cement or tape or something to cap off these cut guys. Whoa, that was like eager. Ooh. I've got glue everywhere. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna cap those guys off so you don't have just that itty bitty bit of power kind of partying around in there. Got my glue gun fired up. Again, kids, don't do this at home. I'm gonna be very generous about how much glue I put in there. Wonderful. It works. Unplugging it again, and let's go ahead and make sure all the wires are down in there good. And we're gonna glue that down now. There we go. All right, now to build a thread stand. Let's talk about thread stand. Ignore the AC in the background again. So this is your typical thread stand. It comes up from the sewing machine. It comes up like this. And then you've got this little part here. Comes down to here. Okay, so the idea is you put your threads here and they go up and then they come down. And so when your machine is pulling on the thread, coaxing it along, it's not having to spin the cone or have any extra tension put on it by the cone, because the thread is being pulled straight up off of the cone. So that's the design feature that I'm going for with this bobbin winder. We picked this up from Lowe's, 25 feet of 55-pound galvanized steel wire. You just give it a pull and you pull out what you need and you bend it into the shape that you need. It's so easy to work with, and this is honestly so handy to have on hand for all sorts of jobs. These are from Vampire Tools. They sent them to me. Now, they don't work great for pulling needles through because the grooves are a little bit large for that, but they work great as snips and pliers, and they have this cover for them, and they come in all sorts of sizes, okay? So they sent them to me to try out, to give them feedback. They sent me those. They sent me these scissors, okay? They're kind of like snips. And these I love. They're their mini Vampliers. They're made by Vampire Tools, and they're called Vampliers. Isn't that smart? Smartly done. Not sponsored. They have this tip where if you can get a hold of the head of the screw, you can turn the screw to loosen a screw. That's kind of pretty cool. It needs to come up out of the center to be a thread stand. They usually have some sort of like foam or felt at the base of thread stands so that the spool can just kind of rest quietly on there. All right, so now we have to form the hook portion. All right, so this is the wire that's gonna handle the uptake of the thread. And it goes down to this base. And the thread is going to go next to this larger guide. See how I kind of made it a spiral so it's easy to thread through before it goes into that itty bitty guide and the tensioner. Here we go, let's test it out. Cut this, got it started. Here we go. All right, so I gotta rank it. My version, I give it a 10 out of 10. Now, if you don't want to rewire it, there is another way to do it. If you don't want to deal with trying to nest it inside the box and moving the wire, I'm going to show you a really easy adaptation you can do just basically with a hot glue gun. Feel free to give me a super thanks because yes, I do have 2 of these for this video. These videos are kind of expensive, so if you want to help out, that would be great. Okay, so this is it's basically the same design. This is the one I already had. This one was by Simplicity and it was called the Sidewinder. This is the one that I used to always see instead of just the Singer one. But you know, we have the same problems here, people. You could just hot glue this down to a base and make your thread stand. You know, this is the thing for the spool. This is the uptake thing, the guide. So you can kind of do all the same concepts just with the wire and hot glue and get a very, very similar result. I just thought mine was kind of cool, like enclosed. I liked that idea, but it really doesn't matter which way you go with it. So gluing this down is what's going to help keep it from tipping. And then I think I'm also just going to break the lid off of this because like I don't feel like it needs it. It's just annoying. Time for a new travel type sewing machine. Let's see if this one does a little bit better than the last one. I'm excited to see this one because you can actually kind of set it up more like a sewing machine. You don't have to do the handheld thing, is how it looks from the pictures. So let's give it a whirl. Okay, so this is the Singer Stitch Quick cordless mending machine. Okay, I see you. And they show you different ways to use it, and it says suitable for a variety of fabrics, papers, and crafts. So you could even keep it just for sewing paper, like for scrapbooking or cards or whatever. I love that. And it comes with a few extra little things. And then look, scan here for product demonstration. Super cool. Let's get her open.
This is my last item to review before I give the grand try on for the jumper that I made with the Walmart pattern. And then I'm going to give you an update on my nephew.
Oh, a threading diagram. How helpful. And this is what I was talking about as far as like the form factor. It's kind of nice that it can literally sit. We've got a bobbin here instead of having to have a full spool. You can use the bobbin. It does have a way that you can plug it in. That's cool. Oh, look. Guys, we found a little hidey hole. Also, as you can tell, I think the element of surprise is kind of fun, you know, but yeah, I am a total like manual junkie. When I get, oh, there's one of those threaders again. When I get something new, I do usually read through the entire manual. I like to do that. Okay, I see you. And this is not just a chain stitch. It looks like it's gonna be a straight stitch lock stitch. Look at that. Folks, we have a bobbin down here and then we have thread on top. So that's usually what's gonna happen when you see a sewing machine like that. If you only had the bobbin or thread on top and no actual bobbin function underneath the needle, then you would know like, oh, it's just gonna do a chain stitch. And that's what that handy stitch did. Remember, that was just a chain stitch. If you didn't get a chance to watch that video, it was super fun. I bought every weird sewing product from Amazon, which obviously is probably a little bit more bizarre than Walmart, right? So yeah, let's test her out. I don't know if I have a cord for this. I do think that's weird, okay? They say you can use the cord, the DC 6 volts, and plug it in, but it doesn't come with one. That's so weird. Obviously it saves them money, but I'm guessing that they're just saying that way they can say it's portable, cordless. They want to be able to say that. So this is not the battery compartment. This is, and it takes 4 AA's. Ah! Oh wow, okay. It's working. All right, let me put some real fabric in there besides this little swatch. Oh dear. Okay. It's getting returned. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. In my personal opinion. Yeah. I give it a 0. It doesn't do what it was supposed to do. And they even gave us lots of cool stuff with it. Maybe I should give them a 1. I'll give them a 1 because they at least included accessories. But I can't get it to work. How sad. I'm sorry. If you guys love it, you know, go buy it. But to me, I just feel like it would be a source of frustration. And I would rather just travel with the regular home sewing machine. So, final results. Again, it was definitely way roomier than I counted on. I couldn't do the pockets because I ended up having to do these very deep pleats all the way around. Look at how deep they are. And it's still quite a bit too big. So definitely, I'm not gonna take points off for that so much because I do feel like the knit fabric it always ends up being bigger, right? And then also, I feel like when you start a new pattern, you need to go ahead and make something and see how it works, right? So instead of putting anything at the waistband, like the ties, the sash, that looked horrible. What I did was I did these little tabs. You can see I put tabs here all the way around the neckline. And then I strung the piece of selvage through there and tied it in a bow, and I really love that. So again, I pleated this quite deeply as well. It would have been out to here. So this again was a 1X, it was an XL that I cut out. And I feel like, honestly, if I hadn't taken it in all along the way as I worked on it, it probably would have ended up being a 5X. It was just so big, 3 to 5X easily. Some other things that I will do in the future when I use this pattern, because I will use it, I'm just gonna have to alter it. And I don't mind altering things at all. I would make some of these a bubble hem as well. I'd put elastic in the hem. Remember, I made this a little bit long. I like this like boho kind of feel to it. And I was really picturing these shoes with it too. So I'm glad that I did that. But yeah, I'll do a bubble hem on it some. Can you imagine a bubble hem with pockets? It would be so fun. I did do a cover stitch along the inside of the armhole, and then I did cover stitch along the hem, and I did a deeper hem too, so it flows really, really nicely. But yeah, here's how this is. Oh, this was not the only project, as you know. This was one of my projects I was working on the last couple of weeks. The other project, the most important one, my nephew. I have to let you know how that turned out. He is home, and he is safe, and he is healthy. Praise be to God. So I have a jumper, and I have a healthy, happy nephew who's at home. So yay, very pleased. I give this jumper the jumper pattern, I give it a 9 out of 10. It's like super easy to adjust. Yeah, I love that it's kind of like a blank canvas and you can do different stuff with it. So yeah, that's that. All right. Thank you for joining me. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.